Shout out to these fans for coming up with the idea to this video. If you have any cool ideas for a future video, let me know in the comments below. I may just give you a shout out.
3, 2, 1.
What's up, Net Soldiers? I'm Net Alliance, and today I'm ranking all 5 Transformers movies from worst to best. Now, before we begin, from a story standpoint, and even from just like an overall movie quality standpoint, yeah, these films aren't that great, but gotta admit, they look beautiful, and they are really good with their action parts at least. And if a movie's lacking a good story, and lacking good characters, and a lot of other stuff, but it still has really good action, some humor here and there, as well as a story that can somewhat be followed, and you can still be entertained by the whole situation. In my opinion, that means that those films do warrant some sort of quality to them, so let's just rank them. And one more thing before we begin, my friend and fellow YouTuber Austin Burke, he also did a video on this as well, so go check that out after you watch mine. I mean, how can you say no to that face? Without further ado, let's begin. Starting at number 5, I have Transformers 4, Age of Extinction. For me, this film just felt bad. You know, this film was definitely just made for the cash, and you can say all the Transformers movies were made for the cash, but this one is the one that felt like it was made for the cash. The coolest part in it was the last 15 minutes, you know, but I guess that's a common theme between all the Transformers movies because they are a rinse-repeat type of situation going on every single film, and it's always like, for the majority of the film, nothing goes on, and in the last 15 to 20 minutes is just epic. And so I gotta say, that's probably the only good part in this entire film. Some of the China set pieces were pretty cool, I guess. The action shots were cool. One thing that really just kind of weirds me out, and I know it's made fun of online all the time, but the whole Romeo and Juliet law thing, that just weirds me out, you know? It's like, kind of like, hey, this gives me permission to bang your daughter, bruh. You know, it's just weird. I just don't think that should have been in there. I mean, I liked Cade, I liked Stanley Tucci, Optimus was cool, he's always kind of the same character anyways, but he was cool again. Bumblebee was cool, which he's always cool too. I did like the addition of Hound. I thought Hound was a cool character. The other guys I don't really know very much, and I thought they'd get a little more explanation in Transformers 5, but when we get to that, I'll explain that. And like I mentioned, the big money shot at the end with the Dinobots, so that's good stuff. At number 4, I have Transformers 5, The Last Night. Now, this is the newest entry on this list, and I'm not going to spoil too much because it just came out. But when it comes down to it, the thing that bothered me the most about this entire film was, where was our Optimus? Do you know, Optimus is only in like 15 or like 20 minutes of the film, and even then, it might even be less than that. I'm not even kidding. All the posters were showing Optimus Prime being evil, and that's what I wanted to see, and they called him Nemesis Prime in the film, so that was pretty cool, and I wanted them to expand on this a little bit more. I wanted to actually see more of this going. And then they pull Martha situation. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole, why'd you say that name? You know, like, why'd you say that name? It's one of those things where like Bumblebee like comes out and his voice is finally working, even though they fixed it in the first film. And so the second, third, and the fourth film, and majority of the fifth film, Bumblebee lost his voice again, right? So he didn't have his voice for how many films now? And then he's like, Optimus, we're friends. Wake up, Optimus. And Optimus is like, oh, did you say Martha? No, I didn't say Martha. Oh, well, no, I think you said Martha. You snapped me out of this. Let's team up again, you know? And it was poorly done. I think what would have made more sense is if there was some type of item that they had that controlled Optimus's mind, right? And so they had to destroy that item to then get Optimus back on their side. So let's say this item can only be destroyed by the one who is the Last Knight, who uses that little medallion thing. And so that would be Cade, and then Cade would then be able to destroy this thing that would then control Optimus, that would then not be able to control Optimus anymore if it was destroyed, and then Optimus would then become a good guy again, and then they'd go kick some Megatron butt, and some Cybertron butt, and some floating girl butt. I forget what her name is. Now overall, the reason why this one is a little bit above Age of Extinction is because I just kind of liked it. I like the fact that it was shorter, so there's that. The Dinobots definitely were not utilized. All the other Autobots definitely not utilized. Hound was like non-existent in this film, which is crazy. The special effects were better than Age of Extinction, so there's that. And I think the premise was more interesting as well, because they're dealing with King Arthur and the Round Table, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a sucker for Arthurian legend and stuff, so that's kind of up my alley, so I really enjoy that part of this film. But with all the pros and cons, I have this at number 4 on my list. At number 3, I have Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen. Now for me, I used to really love this film when it first came out. I remember this was the first film, for me anyways, where the special effects just blew my mind. And of course back then I was in middle school, so explosions and hot chicks and all that good stuff. So, you know, there wasn't really much of a story idea going on through my head. But as I got older and I started getting a little more intellectual things, I realized that, okay, yeah, the story is a little meh. But you know what? I honestly went back and watched it again, and I'm watching all these films for just entertainment value. And I do think this film has very good entertainment value if you just wanted to sit back, don't think, and just enjoy the ride. I think it's really good for that reason. I mean, sure, sometimes the humor in this film can be a little bit out there, and it can be a little racist here and there. But for me, when it comes to comedy, I try to look at comedy in more black and white. If it's not funny, it's not funny. If it's funny, it's funny. Doesn't matter if it's considered more racist or sexist or any of that type of stuff. If it's funny, it's funny. That's just how humor works. And I'm sure some people may take my statement wrong, but what I'm getting at is the fact that I'm watching these films with my brain turned off. So if it's funny, I'm gonna laugh. If it's not funny, I'm not gonna laugh. Do you understand that whole premise? So that's why I would say I look at these films from a black and white standpoint when it comes to humor. Now, in my opinion, the biggest con for this film is its story. I can stand the annoying parents. I can stand the kind of weird subplots going on here and there. I can even stand the hot robot chick. And you know what? I don't blame Sam. She was pretty hot. Isn't that right, Sweeper?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
See, even Sweeper agrees. But then again, Sweeper thinks all chicks are hot. Anyways, back to this actual video. And of course, one of the best arguments to actually defend this film is no matter what anyone's saying, when everyone's saying, oh, it's bad, bad story, bad everything, there's nothing good about it, all you have to do is say, oh yeah? What about that forest fight though? And then they're like, you know what? You got me. You're right. That is an epic scene. I'll let you have that one. I mean, I don't care if everything else is bad. That forest fight scene is one of the best action scenes in all of cinema, and I'm still going to state that till this day. And although it has a lackluster story, like most of the Transformers films, it's action-packed and it's a fun thrill if you just kind of want to turn off your brain and just go. And for that reason, it's ranked at number 3 on my list. At number 2, I have Transformers 1, the original film. Now this film may just be responsible for making the summer craze of what we see of all these massive explosions, action scenes, all this type of stuff. When it comes down to CGI bending stuff, this was the film that really pushed it forward. Or at least in my opinion. We met Sam, we met Megan Fox, and she was hot. Right, Sweeper?
Oh, it's Megan Fox. Oh, dude, Megan Fox.
Sweeper, I think you need help. So Sam, played by Shia LaBeouf, and Michaela, played by Megan Fox, go and they find Bumblebee, and this whole adventure ensues, and we eventually meet Optimus Prime, who was awesome, and just the greatest part of the entire franchise in my opinion. From there, we learn of the evil Megatron, and he comes and he fights Optimus Prime and all the other Autobots inside of the city, along with Starscream and the other ones that are there, and yada yada yada, a bunch of stuff you'll see in the rest of the films, and of course, then Shia LaBeouf sacrifices the cube to destroy Megatron and save Optimus. It was definitely a very action-packed, fun summer movie film. You know, it was the best type of summer movie film. One you can just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy. I mentioned with Revenge of the Fallen, you just kind of turn off your brain and just watch. This one actually made you think a little bit more, so there's that. And it really showed just how awesome Transformers could have been had Michael Bay not been able to take the reins over the entire franchise. And it's for all these reasons I have it at number 2 on my list. And at number 1, I have Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon, where I would say Revenge of the Fallen has much more better action, and Transformer 1 has a better story. I would say Dark of the Moon is a good mix of both of them. It has good action, but it doesn't overdo it. It has a relatively good story, but it doesn't have the greatest story. But then again, it is a Transformers film, so it's kind of expected to be that way. I'd say, although I didn't particularly care about the human villain in this film, I think he was probably one of the strongest out of the franchise, so that's good. Then we have Sentinel Prime, who turns against the Autobots out of nowhere. I actually remember watching this in the film and being like, wait, oh my god, he just killed Ironhide. Like, Ironhide is like the third most famous Autobot behind Bumblebee and then Optimus. You know what I mean? They just killed him like that. Like, I cannot believe this. No. And I thought maybe they'll bring him back for a sequel, but no, he isn't back yet. Maybe Transformers 6, but most likely not. And the sketchiest part of this entire film is when Optimus is getting killed by Sentinel, and then Megatron actually comes in and beats Sentinel's butt, and then actually saves Optimus, but then Optimus is just like, yeah, thanks, but here's an axe to the face and ripping out your spine, and you're welcome, Megatron. And I get it, Megatron is evil, but still, it was kind of a very brutal thing for a hero of the story, Optimus Prime, probably the biggest hero of all the heroes, to pull something like that. Just seemed very, not very Optimus-ish. Like I mentioned, the story was alright, and the action was pretty good, so overall, I would say that this film is the best Transformers film we've seen so far. Well, of course, if we're not counting the animated Transformers film, which case, then this would not be the best. But do you agree with this list? How would you rank Michael Bay's Transformers films? Let me know in the comments below. Please remember to like and subscribe for more videos, and until next time, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.